Alright, now it's my turn to tell you about my shoutouts. So, my shoutouts, which are games that came out this year but I didn't get to play at all. It's going to be Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory. Just like our friend Ali, I didn't get a chance to play this game yet. I did beat the first one. I'm currently trying to beat Digimon World Next Order. Still in the process of getting through that. After that, definitely going to dive into this game and have a great time with it. It looks like a lot of fun. Another game is going to be Mega Man 11. I love my jump and shooting games. Mega Man is great. I've been playing it since the old school games. And this new one just looks so shiny, so fantastic, so much fun. Can't wait to try that. And then, of course, Shadow of the Colossus, the remake. My god, the one from the PS2 looked like so much fun. I was always very intimidated to play it, though. I can't wait to try out this new HD version that came out. It's looking fantastic. Alright, now I'm going to talk a little bit about a game that I've been playing a lot through this year, but that didn't come out this year. And that's going to be Ratchet & Clank from 2016. Now, I've played through the original trilogy of Ratchet & Clank, had a great time with those games. Insomniac really knows how to develop their games. But this new one, Ratchet & Clank from 2016, based off of the movie, which is based off of the game. Fantastic reimagination of Ratchet & Clank. All the graphics look fantastic. If you play it on the PS4 Pro, instead of playing it on 30 frames a second, you can play it at 60 frames a second. And it's just a lot of fun. The voice acting is just as good as ever. The animations are very smooth and very expressive. The graphics are fantastic. I'm having a great time playing through that game. Alright, now I'm going to talk about my picks for Game of the Year. Now, once again, just like last year, I'm at a standstill. There are two games that I really enjoyed this year, and they're both fighting games. The first one I'm going to talk about is Dragon Ball FighterZ. I've played a ton of Dragon Ball fighting games in the past. Budokai, Tenkaichi, all these different versions of these games. And I always had a lot of fun with them. But I always felt like there was something missing. And then Arc System comes in and says, hold my beer. I'm going to make you a true Dragon Ball fighting game. And boy, did they deliver. The graphics in Dragon Ball FighterZ is the best you could ever get for a Dragon Ball game. The cel-shaded graphics they chose for this game, the work they put into these graphics, it feels like you're playing the actual show. Half the time I keep forgetting that these are 3D models. That's how good the graphics are. And let's talk about that fast-paced fighting mechanics that they have going on. Whoa. Arc Systems really knew what they were doing in there. They knew that if they were going to make you play a Dragon Ball fighting game, it had to be fast. Being able to teleport behind your enemy if you have enough meter, of course. Being able to power up and then immediately go into an attack. Every character having their own signature attack moves and stuff like that. They really put in a lot of detail. They put a lot of attention to detail in this Dragon Ball fighting game. The 3 versus 3 mechanics that they added here makes a lot of sense. If I had to describe it, it feels a little bit like Marvel's Capcom 3, but more refined. You can't accidentally have a character come in and do an assist move. In this one, you actually have to do a motion and then an assist. So that we could actually plan it, you don't do it by accident. There's plenty of tutorials as well. This game is already pretty easy to start with, hard to master. They have pretty easy combos you could spam if you're still starting out. But if you really want to get better, the tutorials and the tutorials I have on this game are fantastic. They show you how to do combos just right. And of course they have the demo to play if you don't know how to pull the combo off. The arcade mode is very interesting. Usually when you play a fighting game arcade mode, you just go battle to battle to battle. But even though you do sort of do the same thing in Dragon Ball FighterZ, you have different branching paths you can go on in these arcade modes. And they have 3 different levels of difficulty with these arcade modes as well, which I find very, very interesting and refreshing to find in a fighting game like Dragon Ball FighterZ. Another positive thing I really liked about Dragon Ball FighterZ is being able to summon Shenron. Now, it's not easy to summon the dragon, but when you pull the combos off correctly and you're able to pull off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different kinds of combos, you could summon the dragon, you could summon Shenron, and get one of 4 wishes, which I find very fantastic. It's a very interesting way of putting the main hook of the story of Dragon Ball, collecting Dragon Balls, getting your wish. They found the perfect way to get it into this game, and I just find it fantastic. Also, being able to put in your own tournament, being able to set up your own tournament in Dragon Ball FighterZ, I found to be fantastic. Now, those are all the positives I have for the game. There's probably a few things I didn't mention, but I'm going to go into the negatives about this game. Now, as much as I love the game, the story mode in Dragon Ball FighterZ is fantastic. The story is very entertaining, keeps you guessing until the end. But the way you play through the story in Dragon Ball FighterZ, I found it very annoying. It's very repetitive. It feels like all the fights in between the cutscenes and the stories is very padded out, pads out the gameplay. It really makes me feel like, wow, just get me to the next part of the story. This is taking forever. Another thing that I didn't really like too much was that there were too many clone fighters. At this point in time right now, we have about 3 different versions of Goku and Vegeta. And I didn't really like that too much. Now you have base level Goku and Vegeta, then you have Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta, now Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta. Why not just put them all into one character and have them go through stance changes when they transform? I thought that would have been a much better deal instead of just filling out the rest of the roster with just different versions of the same character. I mean, Frieza can do that when turning into Golden Frieza. I thought that was a better idea. The starting roster, by the way, in Dragon Ball FighterZ, like I said, too many clone characters, and I kind of felt was missing a couple of characters as well. Arale would have been a fantastic choice. Master Roshi is nowhere to be found. What the hell's going on here? Let's see. Raditz, where the hell is he? I would have loved to play as Raditz in this game. And let's not forget Yajirobe. Sure, he's not the best fighter out there, but neither is Yamcha, and he made it onto the list, so what's going on here? Now, one negative thing that I didn't like about Dragon Ball FighterZ was the whole lobby system, where you have to walk around as this little chibi guy, trying to get to different spots of the map. When you first got the game, you had to log into an online lobby, even if you were just playing offline. They did correct that, but I did find that kind of annoying. And now, let's talk about my other Game of the Year choice, Soul Calibur 6. My goodness, I've been a Soul Calibur fan since Soul Calibur 2. I remember watching the show called X-Play, and they were doing a review of the game. And I just found it so interesting, so enticing. I hadn't been that big of a fan of fighting games up until then, so I said, let me pick this game up. From then on, it wasn't just me, but my entire family got into Soul Calibur. We played all the way until Soul Calibur 4. 5 wasn't really that big with me and my family, but then they announced Soul Calibur 6. My god, it feels like going back home and just having a great time. Now, the graphics in Soul Calibur 6, just as always, fantastic. Bandai Namco knows how to get those graphics in there. They know how to get these characters moving and looking fantastic. The fighting in Soul Calibur is just as good as ever. Very in-depth. I do like the new character roster. One of my favorite characters to play as is Gro. I love his moveset. I also like that they added 2B and Geralt. Those are very interesting fighters to put into Soul Calibur. I'm looking forward to continuing playing through Soul Calibur with them. Tons of extras in this game, going through artwork, reading through different types of stories from all the characters in Soul Calibur. Character creation is fantastic in this game. It's the most in-depth character creation you can get in Soul Calibur. Starting with 3, but continuing on into 6 over here, you can practically create whatever the hell you want. If you want to create a little bunny person, go ahead. A lizard man, go right ahead. Skeleton person, you got it. It's fantastic. I really enjoy creating characters with this thing. Not only that, could also modify current characters. It's really fun. If you don't like the outfit that one of the current characters is playing with, put them in there, switch it up, do what you want. It'll look fantastic no matter what you do. I love the new gaming mechanics they put in there. Now, supers have existed in Soul Calibur since 4, but they're much better now in 6. They're much easier to execute. They're called critical edges. All you have to do is press all 3 attack buttons at the same time when you have one of your meters full. Now, with your meters, if you build up 2 meters, you can either choose to do a critical edge or super with it, or what I like to call going Super Saiyan. Not necessarily going Super Saiyan. This is actually now your soul charge. Instead of having to basically crouch or do some sort of move to power up, you can instantly activate it by just pressing back on all 3 attack buttons, and you get an instant power up and a pushback if your enemy is on top of you. It's very enticing to use. It's a great way to get out of those tight corners when you're having a tough time in a match. Reversal Edge is a new thing they added in Soul Calibur 6. It's basically a game of rock, paper, scissors. You press a button combination, usually the vertical attack and blocking attack, and then you do this whole pose, where if you get hit, you do a counter attack, and then both of you have to press either a motion, block, or one of the attack buttons. Each one is stronger than the other, and whoever gets that hit gets the next hit. And then you can combo off of that. I find that very interesting. It also helps break the monotony of just constantly fighting each other. It adds a little bit of flavor to the game. I enjoy it. Just as always, Soul Calibur will hold your hand going through the motions, learning characters, showing you their combos, learning the buttons, all the button combinations for all the different characters. Just as always, fantastic, and I love it. Arcade mode makes a return. Just as always, it's your regular arcade mode, nothing necessarily new. But something that is very new and very interesting in this game is your 2 different story modes that you get to play with. Now, you have Libra of Souls. This is one of the other story modes you got in this game. In this one, you have to create your own personal character, which makes the game a little bit more personal. You play through the story of Soul Calibur through this new character's perspective, meeting all the fighters from Soul Calibur one by one, going through the story, learning your own story as how you're getting these evil or good magical powers within you, meeting all these different characters and talking to them. There isn't a lot of voice acting in this version of the game, but I do still enjoy it. This is if you're looking for a different taste of Soul Calibur, a different way to experience a story, this might be for you. Now then you have the regular story mode for Soul Calibur, where you actually play through the fighters of the game. And this one is the most in-depth it's ever been for Soul Calibur. You start from the very not necessarily from the very beginning, but the beginning with Keelik, at least. How he inadvertently destroyed his own home, accidentally killing his adoptive sister, gaining the abilities he now has as a fighter, the weapons he uses, and how he meets both Zhanghua and Maxi throughout the story. Not only that, the character you created in Libra of Soul also makes an appearance in this story mode, so both story modes intertwine to each other. And I found that to be very fantastic. Neither story mode becomes so repetitive to the point where you don't want to continue playing anymore. It just goes through very smoothly. And then you have all the other characters to play through. You have Gro to play through, Sophitia, Taki, Mitsurugi, Nightmares, Siegfried. All these other characters have their own little parts of the story you can play through and have a great time doing so. And in this mode, you do get a lot of voice acting, which is very appreciative. I love that sort of stuff. Alright, now let's get into the negatives. Now, parries do make a return in this game, of course, but I'm not a big fan of people being able to parry a grab. I'm not a big fan of that sort of stuff. Also, the way you execute your parry is still the same, but it feels a little bit weird. It feels a little bit off. Like you pull it off, and then if it's not on point, if you're not necessarily on point, if you're not predicting it correctly, you're going to get hit instead of reacting to a hit that's coming at you right away. I just find it a little bit weird. Another thing I found weird about Soul Calibur is when you play as a certain character like Gro, sometimes you'll do a grab and the whole animation gets blurry for a little bit. I found that a little bit weird, but that's probably a setting they put on purpose to make it look like it's moving really fast. Not my cup of tea. I miss some of the old fighters. One of the fighters I like to play as is Young Sung, and he's not in this game yet. Also, Lizardman proper, or Aeon, he's not in this game either. He does sort of make an appearance within the stories, but hopefully they'll add him as a DLC character later on. I sort of wish he was already in both of them were in the cast already. I did talk a lot of good stuff about the character creation in this game. but I do have some gripes with it. Now in Soul Calibur 3, you can create a character. It wasn't as in-depth, but you can actually choose a custom moveset. In Soul Calibur 6, they didn't add that. I was really hoping they would bring that back because in 4 and 5 they didn't have it. I was really hoping to get that back, to have a real custom character, not just a character that looks different, but plays like one of the regular fighters that you have here. Now, I did say I did like the roster and the variety that you get in there, but I found the number of fighters that you get right out of the box to be very few. I kind of wish they would have filled the character roster up with a few more fighters, preferably some of the older fighters that aren't in this game just yet, but hopefully they'll fix that with DLC later. Alright, now I'm done talking about both games. And I'm not going to lie, I had a blast with both of them. However, there can only be one. Now, with Dragon Ball FighterZ, I had a great time. I love how the game looks. I love how the game plays. But there's a few things with the game that I just can't shake off. As much fun as I have playing it, I'm not the most excited person on the planet when it's on the screen. Like, I'll go ahead and play it, sure, but I still don't get that feeling like, oh, I need to play this. I need to try my skills out here. It kind of feels like something's holding me back. As much fun as I have with it, it doesn't feel too natural to me. But when I see Soul Calibur, I get excited. I get extremely excited. I want to jump on it quickly and play the game. It just feels more at home to me. It feels more easy to pick up and play than it does to pick up and play Dragon Ball FighterZ. Not to mention, Soul Calibur 6 has a lot of room to grow still. It only came out a little over a month ago now. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the game later on. Because they can still update it more, they can still add more characters. Sure, Dragon Ball FighterZ is doing the same, adding more characters to the game. But when it comes to Dragon Ball FighterZ and Soul Calibur 6, I'm more excited to see what's going to happen with 6 than Dragon Ball FighterZ. I kind of feel like with Dragon Ball FighterZ, they kind of already hit its peak. Like, they added all these new cooler characters, but Soul Calibur still has a lot of room to grow, and I just feel more excited for that. So because of that, because of all these ideas and all the plus and minuses both games have, I have to give my game of the year to Soul Calibur 6. The game is just so much fun. It's been updating and refining its gameplay since the late 90s. And they can only go... It's not even downhill for them yet. It's still uphill. They can still do much more. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do in the future. So for me, like I said before, Soul Calibur 6 gets my Game of the Year pick.